Hey guys, how's it going? It's Quincy with Coin Club Crypto. Welcome to my channel. Be sure to share with your friends if you like the topics we talk about. Be sure to like and subscribe and talk about any sort of questions you may have down in the comments. And let's get into it. This is TechTalk and let's talk tech. Today we're going to be going over smart contracts and NFT implications and what you can do with certain NFT tokens, contracts, smart contracts, and certain applications you can build with these sort of configurations. So let's go over what's a contract and what's a smart contract. So a contract is just an agreement on the ledger. And this agreement is sort of like a smart contract, but this agreement has two signatories, at least two signatories. And these two signatories are two people engaging on the network to engage in some form of transaction. This can be in transacting some form of an NFT for people paying for some form of money for it, people making a transaction by transacting some form of good, people making just a file transaction where someone wanted to send a file to you and then authenticate that you got it or authenticate that you were the rightful sender. Whatever that transaction may be, you can configure that transaction with a contract. Well, what's the difference between a contract and a smart contract? Well, a smart contract, so I'll put a SM contract. A smart contract is a self-signing contract. So this contract will have a little bit of code in it, and it will be self-signing for whatever the execution may be. So what you may end up having is you have a signatory, somebody engaging with the contract, and that contract will go run some automation after some exchange of value in the native token of the smart contract is executed on the smart contract platform. Now, the main two differences is a contract is a general agreement between two parties, while a smart contract is an automated process signed off by one party. So, now with that being said, let's get into fungible and non-fungible tokens before we get into building an application or application use cases. So, what is a fungible and non-fungible token? Well, a fungible token is a token that's able to be interchanged with tokens alike of exact value and of it would be interchanged with other tokens like it for the same amount of value for usually liquidity purposes for whatever the general market may be. These tokens are similar in every single way and whatever they may be, and they would be interchanged with each other for some other form of value. So we'll put so we got fungible tokens. So we'll put FT here. FT. And then we got NFT. So what is an NFT? An NFT is a non-fungible token. All that means is this token is unique. There's no other token out there like that. You cannot interchange this token for any other token like that. It does not break up in any way. This token is an entirely unique identity. So really the difference between a fungible token and a non-fungible token is you can interchange the overall pool of tokens of the fungible token for a standard point of value of whatever the exchange may be for all the tokens, while a non-fungible token is a completely unique identity token that has its own value proposition, and any other token that may be even similar to the non-fungible token will have an entirely different makeup of how that token is interacted with because the token's unique. Where if I bought a non-fungible token, or if I bought a non-fungible token for $5 and there was a similar token, it would not essentially be the same value as the non-fungible token. But if I had the fungible token and tokens like that, all the tokens would be $5 because they're all essentially replicas of the original token and they're interchangeable. That's the main difference. Now, what are these use cases for, well, non-fungible tokens and fungible tokens? Well, fungible tokens people like to talk about, and sort of in a real life setting, fungible tokens are just anything that can be replicated, or not really even replicated, but anything that can be inter-exchanged for something similar or something that's exactly like that. So you see that people say this with dollars, or people say this with stocks, or people say this with really anything that can be represented as a form of value that can be expanded upon or split up in exchange for other units like it. And that's literally stocks, bonds, currencies, the whole makeup when it comes to stuff like that. And you can issue those on blockchain technologies quite easily, quite similarly. So what about non-fungible tokens? So what would you do with a non-fungible token in a blockchain setting? Well, a non-fungible token would be a good example of that would be maybe you have a property NFT, and you wanted to create a unique hash of the title of the property, and you wanted that unique hash to be the representation of the value of the overall property. Basically, creating an NFT of the title of the property. Now, what does that allow you to do? That allows you to maintain custody of the overall value of the token in a cryptographic hash manner, while being able to exchange it with other people on a blockchain setting, programmatically or sequentially, being able to interact with other users with contracts. But what that allows you to do is you're able to capture the value of non-fungible objects and be able to exchange value on these decentralized platforms. So what are you able to do with NFTs, contracts, smart contracts, and all of these different applications that can be built with something like this? Because the biggest thing people talk about when it comes to NFTs are talking about NFT marketplaces for different pictures and images and silly things like that. Well, a good example of an NFT application that would be an NFT contract that we could probably go through would be, let's say we took the property example of an NFT, and we have the NFT property here, and let's say Bob bought the property when it was built, brand new. Bob has the property. When he builds the NFT, he puts the NFT in a contract. Now, this contract is a cryptographically enforced contract on the blockchain or on a decentralized ledger. But he has this contract. And on the contract, his name, and this contract would basically be a miniature ledger, but this contract would have his name and his cryptographic signature basically stating that he owns the NFT bound within the contract. Now, what does that mean? Well, let's say, whatever his name, Billy, Bob, whatever, put him over here. Let's say he wanted to sell his contract to somebody else. Sell that NFT, that property that he held, to somebody else. It's been 10 years, he wants to sell the property, no biggie. Well, they'll engage with the contract, make a cryptographic signature, basically relieving the property rights of the original signatory to the additional signatory, basically exchanging the rights over to the new owner of the contract, and then within the contract is bound the NFT of the property and the title being the representation of the overall value of the property being exchanged. Well, this ends up being great because this guy wants to sell it to another guy. They can do the same thing. Then they engage in the contract. The contract basically it signifies who's the owner of that contract and of that NFT in that contract, and they're able to have as many different transactions over time as they want. And in this contract would have a miniature ledger of all the transactions and all the signatories and owners of this contract and the NFT contained inside of it. Now, that's pretty interesting. That's just simple contracts. But now what about smart contracts, something a little bit more automated? Well, let's say we took a smart contract NFT ticketing system. So like you said, NFTs need to be entirely unique. So if we had an NFT ticketing system where we have a smart contract here, and let's say this smart contract is a smart contract for the Super Bowl, and it generates tickets, unique tickets for unique seats at wherever the stadium may be. So whenever somebody comes in here, pays some amount of value, let's say $5 or let's say $500 for their ticket, this contract will generate a unique NFT. Now, what might this NFT be? It could be anything. It could be, let's say there was an original picture in there, and it can be a picture of, let's say, Mr. Smiley. And all the smart contract does is rearrange the pixels in Mr. Smiley to where the unique NFT coming out of the contract is an entirely new rearranged image of Mr. Smiley. Now, when you get this token, when you get your NFT token, your ticket token, you may see the token as the picture of Mr. Smiley. But guess what? The underlying pixels and the underlying structure of the image was changed, making the image unique. And because you can't necessarily compare these images because they're so alike, and you don't have the original image that was contained within the smart contract, it basically creates a non-fungible ticket ordeal where people aren't able to re-replicate or be able to create fake tickets, because all the data containing the original ticket was contained in the smart contract that produced the NFTs. So now you can have 1, 2, 10,000, 5,000, 100,000. You can have all these NFTs being distributed from the smart contract, having more and more people pay money into the smart contract to have their generated ticket token. And then they can take that ticket token, maybe have it on some sort of application that they may have, maybe open it up as a QR, and as they walk in, scan the QR, bing, bang, boom. It may not even be a QR. If you want to be more sophisticated, it'd just be a straight up picture of the original picture, and that picture would match the hash, and then you would have your essential, your NFT picture. And I'm assuming you obviously don't make duplicate replicas of this picture, you can maintain the security and integrity of the original contract signatory hash of the NFT that you may have owned. And then you may actually add even extra steps to that too, to where you can maybe add a PIN as you enter the contract. So as you exit the contract to cash your NFT token or ticket at the place, you may also have an additional PIN that may re-replicate the original hash that went in there. There's a bunch of different ways you can go into this with broader security features to get the most unique data out of the smart contract system, and being able to utilize NFTs in such a manner to be able to build broader applications that are able to be unique and useful for further development and further use in terms of being able to expand upon the technology and being able to use it for enterprise needs. But anywho, if you made it to the end of the video, you're awesome. Definitely be sure to share this. Definitely be sure to like this. Definitely be sure to comment any questions you may have so I can go over it in another video. And yeah, thanks for checking out Coin Club, checking out our channel, and come back again. Peace.